the parade that Uhuru Kenyatta will for one last time do when they are saying goodbye to him. But on Tuesday, he will do what we are causing, he will, kwa Kiswahili wanasema atakagua gwaride la mwisho. In English they call it the old guard. Before now, William Ruto, after being sworn in, will now take over as is his new guard of honor. Maybe that day, maybe on another time is different. So the stand where you're seeing the gentleman, and I know you want to ask me why is he in a red kofia. Do you know why?
Or basically maybe because he's I'm not that bad. I think because he's a military police officer.
Of course. He's a military police officer but belonging to the Kenya Air Force.
Jackson, I think we are talking about the what? Network ile kitu, Leila.
Is it the podium or the dais or that one?
The dais at the center of Palekwa Field, just next to the track.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the interesting bit about it is when Uhuru Kenyatta arrives at the stadium, ideally he is expected to do a lap of honor around the stadium, and then his vehicle will stop here, where he will now walk there, stand, and they will request him to play the national anthem. The guard of honor will have already stood in line, and once the commander of the parade commander comes back to him and says, the national anthem is done, we are requesting you to inspect the guard of honor. Then there will be a team of men and women who will be doing this quite fast. Many people laugh at it, and it's so much precision in terms of ensuring, but by the time the commander-in-chief is done inspecting the guard of honor, this will no longer be on the grounds where he will now walk to and back to the podium, and the national anthem will play again. It is in Uhuru Kenyatta's tenure as commander-in-chief that he also asked Kenyans to now take seriously the East African anthem. Why, you ask?
I see. And actually we saw them rehearsing it earlier on in the morning, so we expect of it to be played again when he makes his way here to inspect that guard of honor. Is it also when we will see maybe his flag being unrigged?
That's what we are calling the presidential standard. But maybe I can just take you through the flags that we are seeing here. The first flag, the white one, is for the Ulinzi Sports Complex and Langata barracks itself.
That's the venue where we are.
Yes. The second one, which has the anchor and the Kenyan flag on top, is the flag of the Kenya Navy. The blue one with the round, which means like it means
that's the third one.
Nautical. The light blue one is for the Kenya Air Force. And the maroon is the Kenya Army. Many people like to think green is what represents the Kenya Army, but no. In terms of flags, the Kenya Army takes the maroon. On the other hand, the dark blue, the light blue, and the maroon make up the Kenya Defense Forces flag. Next is the Kenya, the East African flag, and then we have the Kenya national flag. And you see the last one is still rolled up. That's President Uhuru Kenyatta's Commander-in-Chief standard.
The presidential standard.
The one that tells you that the president is in a place of gathering.
Is it the one that when he leaves office, maybe there's that flag that they give a president and leaves office with it? Is it the same one?
He'll get two. He'll get the presidential standard and he'll get the national flag, where he will be draped in, and the standard is what his body will lay on when he lies in state. Currently, that is what the Queen of England will go through. So she will lay on her royal standard, but the casket will be in the British flag. So it's similar to what Kenya will do, because we pick up a lot of our historical and traditions from the colonial governors, the Brits, who took years inside Kenya, and much of how the military in Kenya works is based on how the British Army and the Royal Navy and the Royal Air Force do their stuff. So once President Uhuru Kenyatta is within the precincts of Ulinzi Stadium, then the presidential standard will be lowered. And a critical factor to look at on Tuesday will be when the blue color of Uhuru Kenyatta goes down.
That's the presidential standard.
William Ruto's green will come up.
Presidential standard. Yes.
So William Ruto has chosen green.
Yeah.
We are not yet fashioned with the details of what symbols will be inside that presidential standard.
Yeah.
Most of these presidents have chosen the shield and the spears to remain in the presidential standard. However, Jomo Kenyatta had Kanu's cork inside it. Mwai Kibaki had, Uhuru Kenyatta has a dove. Mwai Kibaki's had something different. President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi also had a different one.
Yeah.
So it is up to President-elect William Ruto to really give something that will define him as the next commander-in-chief, something that will be part and parcel of that presidential standard, and we will be able as Kenyans to really view it in its full glory on the 13th of September, which is next Tuesday, when it will be now ushered up as the old one for President Uhuru Kenyatta is lowered on that same day.
Maybe at this moment then, Leila, we need to, let's just give our viewers a feel of this kit that these officers are performing here, because I think it's capping up something we've been talking about, but in a hilarious way. So let's just listen into it maybe.
Bila shaka RSF 21 si uongo kabisa, mambo shwari kabisa.
Unaona vile mkubwa wetu amefanya? Hii unit mpya imefanya tukuwe na promotion. Angalia sasa hivi ni LSM.
Bila shaka
watu wamekuwa employed. Nini kingine tunataka?
Hakuna kitu kingine tunapanuka.
Nini kingine tunataka Abande?
Hiyo inamaanisha watu wanaendelea, tunakuwa kikazi.
Hiyo ni kweli Abande.
Si watu kusongamana mahali moja.
Abande umeingia bado uchukuzi. TBT.
Kweli.
Magari imeletwa kuletwa Abande. Gari tumepaka. Gari sasa hivi wakitaka kwenda Isiolo, wapi gari iko kama zamani, mara gari iko Mandera, gari anataka kwenda Isiolo. Sasa hivi tumeng'atishwa.
Hiyo ni kweli Abande. Hao watu wametusaidia sana. Kwanza unit yetu mpya. Ngali ni mpya. Na unasikia kuna mahali pengine watu wanaendanga na baisikeli. Wanaenda vita na baisikeli Abande.
Kama wanatembea.
Kama mambo ya workshop walitengeneza kabisa Abande. Sasa hii hata ukija spare unakuwa mbili Abande.
Double.
Mambo ya railway tumemaliza. Mambo ya Nairobi tumeng'arisha. Sasa imekuwa mzuri kabisa. Guys, mimi ni kidogo.
Kweli kabisa.
Hata nikwambia Abande. Hata watu wametusaidia sana. Mambo ya leli.
Madam, niko na shida.
Askari, shida zako haziishi.
Shida ni mingi madam.
Sasa uko na shida gani?
Madam, wewe huwezi nisaidia. Nipeleke tu kwa korokoro nisaidia. Wewe huwezi nisaidia kabisa. Najua kwanza uko na vitina wewe.
Ama unazunguka mtu siingie gari.
Hapana. Niko na shida za familia madam.
Wewe si mtu mzuri askari.
Madam, sio kazi yangu ni nzuri tu.
Ama una kitu nikununua.
Hapana madam, nipeleke kwa RSM, hawatanisaidia peke yake. Wewe huwezi nisaidia. Huwezi nisaidia. Ukipeleka kwa CSM atanifunga ED. Mimi nataka RSM.
Tuende. Jambo saa.
Mzuri sana.
Nini mbaya?
Afande, niko na askari hapa. Amesema ako na shida mingi. Na shida yake mimi kama Koblo siwezi solve afande. Anataka tu wazee.
Hiyo sisi ni wazee tumekaa kwa hii kazi. Kazi yetu ni kutatua swala kama hizi. What's the problem?
Jambo saa.
Fungua mguu.
Afande, sijui kama unakumbuka ile harusi niliyoalika. Yes sir. Afande, sijui kama unakumbuka harusi niliyoalika last month.
Nakumbuka vizuri sana.
Afande, niko na mimba.
Yaani hiki kizazi cha kijiji.
Wewe. Ati uko na nini?
Niko na mimba afande.
Uko na ujauzito.
Pole afande.
Tumesema uko na nini?
Afande, pole. Yaani mke wangu wako na bola afande. Ako na boli ya miezi 2, 4 hours 2 seconds.
Na sio ni baraka.
Afande, sasa hiyo sio shida.
Shida ni gani?
Shida sasa kulingana tamaduni zetu. tunapeana majina kulingana na traditions, climate. No sir. Tunapeana
na hii kizazi ya kidijitali hii ina mambo sana.
Afande, mimi naishi sio Kimau. Afande, kuna SGR imepita hapo sasa. Kuna express highway.
Alafu nikuulize, hii mambo tunaandaa sasa hivi tunaenda uwanja gani?
Tunaenda Ulinzi Sports Complex.
Alafu si ndio hiyo?
So
sasa
afande maanisha mtoto wangu nimpatie Ulinzi Sports Complex.
Hiyo
Aya. Na SGR pia nipatie hiyo.
Ndio hiyo. Hiyo Afrika unasikia mtu anaitwa Washington, mwingine anaitwa New York, mwingine sisi tunaiga ile maneno ya ng'ambo. Na hapa kwetu maendeleo kuja. Kwa hiyo hiyo advantage.
So pia
Karl-Heinz Rummenigge.
Askari, na umeanza clinic?
Madam, nimeanza clinic.
Unaenda clinic wapi?
Hata nimeenda pale na rest, nikapata hospitali nzuri. Hata bibi yangu nimepeleka hapo na rest. Madawa ziko sawa.
Na umeambiwa utatimikia hapa.
Thank you sir.
Sasa kila mara. Nimepata.
So pia mtoto nipatie NRH.
Ndio.
Oh.
Hata akipata mapacha, kia moja Ulinzi, nyingine weka complex hiyo ya
kweli.
Oh, mkubwa majeshi Afande Uhuru. So unamaanisha pia nipatie jina Afande Uhuru? Ndio nikimuona naona SGR, nikimuona naona NRH, nikimuona naona shipyard, naona express highway
na Ulinzi Sports
Complex. Nikisema pacha Ulinzi Sports Complex.
Kweli.
Hata niliambia madam hapa hawezi nisaidia. Iko kipeleka kwa RSM watanisaidia.
Kweli.
Madam simuona.
RSM TPT. Magari zimesema iko sawa. Na tayari
nimeng'arisha.
Tufike Lang'ata basi.
Muondoko Avande.
Tufike Lang'ata.
Madam silikwambia ukinipeleka kwa
Tuwapongeze kwa makofi wanajeshi wetu wa Kahawa Garrison. Bila shaka mchezo wao umekuwa wenye kufana zaidi. Hivi
basi, asante sana mwenzangu na hali kadhalika wenzetu kutoka Kahawa Garrison. Ningependa pia kutambua kuwasili kwake Meja Jenerali Peter Mteti ambaye ameshawasili kuweza kujiunga nasi katika hafla hii ya siku ya leo. Tutarudi kwake Chitai aweze kuendelea.
Nizamu sasa ya Anglican Church Choir watakao tuletea nyimbo mbili ikiwemo Heko Rais Uhuru Kenyatta na Bwana Upepo Unavuma. Kwaya hii vile vile imeweza kujumuisha kwaya za kanisa za majeshi, kanisa zetu za majeshi. Wataweza kutuletea nyimbo mbili, Bwana Upepo Unavuma, hali kadhalika Heko kwake Rais Uhuru Kenyatta ambaye pia ni amiri jeshi mkuu wa majeshi yetu ya ulinzi ya Kenya. Karibuni.
Uiongoza Kenya yetu, kwa umbali huu tumefika. Heko kwako Rais, Mungu akutende mema maishani mwako. Heko kwako Rais, Mungu akutende mema maishani mwako.
Oh boy, I think your mic is off. But the beauty about life is that you learn through the paces, and I think it should be green at the moment. And viewers, these are some of the challenges we go through as journalists. Let me check. Here. Yes, you're good to go. Are you okay? Now let's try again. Oh buya, hapa people say kwa ground vitu ni tofauti. I know Benso is far away from here, the engineer guys. So maybe he may not be in a position to fix your mic at the moment, but just take in the moment, the grandeur of where we are. We are in the middle of Ulinzi Sports Complex, and it's a magnanimous place to be. Many a times you'd find national events happening in national stadiums, the way Kasarani will be a significant part of this transition on Tuesday next week. But this is a larger-than-life facility. However, it will be intimate and small in a manner where only the men and women in uniform, their families and their children represented here by the various schools that are honored by the military, just to see their commander-in-chief looking into the picture. In the black and whites, we are seeing a lot of memorabilia for Uhuru Kenyatta in the images that they are showing in these plaques here at the Ulinzi. And the Kenya Army Maroon Commandos and Langata Barracks, small tiny flags here, just where your eyes will be. And I think this is where the parade will be. You're seeing the white lines on the grass. This is where this will be the first moment he comes and goes inside, where ideally the guard of honor will be mounted on his behalf. But on a normal day, this is on a normal day, this will be a sports stadium where the Ulinzi teams are going through the paces in terms of their sporting facilities. But at the moment, this has been taken at the center of, look at the band coming in. And Oboya, let me just hand the mic over to you as I fix yours, and then we can talk about the band that is currently walking into the stadium.
Thank you, Laila. As you put it, looks like things are getting very close to the start. A band towards the end of the track, towards the end of the field there, is about to come in, Mecca, entertain those who are here. The choir is leaving the field after quite a moment of entertaining the people here. Most of them
your attention, please.
Military officers, like Leila had mentioned. It's not a public event, but a military event. A grand farewell to the Commander-in-Chief, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta.
By now you have visited the washrooms.
The announcement is being made there.
And the sergeant majors who have come with the personnel ensure there is no movement.
So by just looking at
I can see at terrace number 5. Terrace number 5, there is a lot of movement at the entrance valley. Now, announcement for the officers. All officers, kindly, may I have your attention? Those officers who have been invited for the subsequent function at DHQ officers' mess, you are kindly requested to board common transport at the parking lot after we conclude with this part of the ceremony. There shall be some common transport that shall move in one convoy to Defense Headquarters Officers' Mess. Once we get to the Officers' Mess, we shall wait outside the Officers' Mess for a ceremony that is going to take place there. Thereafter, all officers, beginning with second lieutenants, shall form up along the DOD route all the way to Ulinzi Gate, after the luncheon and during the ceremony that shall be following. Otherwise, take your seats Take your seats. We are about to commence the program of the day. Thank you very much for your attention.
Asante sana mkuu wa uchukuzi. Hivi sasa ningependa kumwalika baraza kutoka engineers.
An announcement has been made there, slowing down movement in the Ulinzi Sports Complex.
Commandant,
it's clear, like we had predicted, by the presence of the band towards the end of the field there. It's clear that this event is about to start. More announcements are being made, and the head of state, the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, is not very far from this venue. Not just by all the indication that we see, but announcement has been made to that effect. A lot of people have been rehearsing. We've seen a couple of people who will be taking part in this.
Wimbo uliotungwa kwa ajili ya KDA tangu operations Linda Inji. Karibu.
They're entertaining the people who are attending this. Like I said, it's more more like KDF entertaining another audience of the KDF. Leila, your mic is on, I believe.
Masapas.
But it's also KDF is a family. There's a significant civilian aspect of the Kenya Defense Forces. In my mind, these are the men and women who give the courage, who are courageous enough to give their people to go into battle. They are the ones who allow them to dress in the military fatigues and they go to war in whatever battles they make. So this is like a family. So when they're entertaining each other, they're not just doing so to themselves, but to an audience of people who understand what it means to wear that uniform every single day. And it's a work ethic that Uhuru Kenyatta, in his tenure as Commander-in-Chief, has significantly applauded and said in their mannerisms, how they work, the precision in which militarily they do their duty. He's been able to choose them and them again and again in terms of having so much courage and belief in their duty of work. But I know in the main Ulinzi Stadium right now, the outriders from the Kenya Military Police Unit will now take over, because once Uhuru Kenyatta leaves State House, he will have the Kenya Police outriders ahead of his vehicle. But when he gets here, the Military Police Unit outriders take over, and those will be riding in front of the Commander-in-Chief's open top Land Cruiser as he's brought here to the stadium. And that's why you're seeing the military band is also going through the paces in their monkey hats. So many people ask questions around what is the significance of those hats. They're made out of monkey skins. And
monkey nyani.
Nyani? You laugh, but those are monkey skins and they are really, really expensive. And the Brits still use them, even the ones who guard Buckingham and all those palaces, they wear them, the black ones. So these ones are for the band only. And this is also a significant area because we're not so far from Nairobi National Park, and we have those little creatures running around here. So it's not to say that the raw material is closer, but those are monkey skins for those ones who are wondering what those hats are made of. Yes.
Great, Leila. So that many people are also having questions around. So once the Commander-in-Chief, once this event is over, is Kenyatta still the Commander-in-Chief of the armed forces for the next couple of hours to go?
Yes, and yes. He only ceases to be the Commander-in-Chief the moment he hands it over to General Kibochi, the sword that gives him the command of being the Commander-in-Chief. General Kibochi will take it and hand it over to President-elect William Ruto. Once that happens, the aide-de-camp will symbolically but also significantly move from behind Uhuru Kenyatta's back and circle back to William Ruto, where he will be able to receive that sword after William Ruto has received it from General Robert Kibochi. So it's a significant 8 seconds because I picked this from what happened in 2013, and this happened in exactly 8 seconds, and change of command happens quite quickly but quite significantly, and after that the national anthem is played. Robert Kibochi will be the first officer to salute William Ruto as the 5th Commander-in-Chief, and also once the aide-de-camp, maybe it will be Brigadier Lekolol or it will be Lieutenant Colonel Nancy, whichever of those 2 persons stands behind William Ruto at the time, they will also salute the new Commander-in-Chief, and that will be the switch and the handover of power from one commander to another. Yes.
And now that we are already talking, about 2013, and like I had told you earlier on, and this was also bothering me, I realized that in 2013, this event only took about 3 hours. But this one is taking almost an entire day. I mean, is there any difference in terms of protocol? Ama ni kujibamba?
It depends on the Commander-in-Chief. In 2013, they were saying goodbye to a Commander-in-Chief who, 1, was elderly, 2, he wasn't in the best physical state as a commander, and he didn't really engage with them to a level where they saw him as frequently as they would have loved. Uhuru Kenyatta grew up with these men and women since he was a child. He knows what it means to be a military officer, having been the son of the first Commander-in-Chief, and going through the paces and seeing them at State House and them saluting him and being in their midst. It was not different for him to choose them once he became the Commander-in-Chief. He took it as a personal choice for him to engage with them at a closer level, where when you see them together, it's as if he's within a fatherhood, a brotherhood. He's with his siblings at home. That's how closer he brought them to his presence. Will William Ruto do the same? It will be a different agenda for him. Will he be seen in the military fatigues as often as we saw Uhuru Kenyatta? That will be something now William Ruto will choose as an individual. Will he engage them to the level where we saw Uhuru Kenyatta do? He may choose to do that, he may choose to step back a bit, but the significance of the Kenya Defence Forces to the Commander-in-Chief is notwithstanding, and William Ruto knows that because he now commands a critical part of Kenyan security sector. Yes.
But I don't think I saw President Kibaki in the military regalia any single day.
He didn't, and that's a choice that he made. Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi wore the jungle outfit once in a while, on national occasions once in a while. Also, he was seen outside in the military red tunic outfit. And I kid you not, Uhuru Kenyatta was in it in December 12th, 2021, just a few meters away from here at the Uhuru Gardens. And I kid you not, for a moment he looked like Mzee Jomo Kenyatta in his demeanor, in his gait, even how he was speaking and how he was moving on that evening, and the 2 gentlemen are almost similar, alike. You'd think it's a mirror effect of one man and the other. So these 3 gentlemen chose to wear it, but when they leave also, the red tunic will be part and parcel of the gifts that he will receive this day to take home. As a reminder, there's that ceremonial chain. I am not sure if he gets to take it home though, because I know it's only worn by the Commander-in-Chief. Is there one for every Commander-in-Chief? Those are questions we may need to ask the military themselves on how this happens. But he gets a full kit of uniform that he will go home with, and a lot of memorabilia and regalia from the military that he has commanded for the last decade. Yes.
That will be an important question to ask and maybe get someone to answer, because again, you see, like in the United States, a president is a president. It's just that what time were you the president? President so and so. And that's why when we lost President Mwai Kibaki, there was this debate around, should we say former president, or should we just say President Kibaki? Maybe that then brings in the question of, with this military regala that they are given actually, and they take it home, it basically belongs to them. But in my own assessment, then it only means that they have a gift with them. Maybe they can put it on, but maybe they do not have that power that they wield while they're in office. I don't know what you think. This is an opinion. I'm not asking you to quote any law.
I'm thinking to myself, and God forgive me, maybe he will try and wear it in his house and just enjoy himself in the outfit and look at himself in the mirror and take in the moment for a fact. But the fact of the matter is, once he hands over the reins of power, then ideally a commander-in-chief is just one. He will only be saluted because he's a commander-in-chief retired, per se, if there's any title like that.
I honestly must say that I would like to see Uhuru Kenyatta maybe in one of those regalia at one point, because this man loved the military. This man respected the military. This man introduced the public, the civilians, to the other side of the military. For the first time, you know, those late night trips that President Kenyatta was making in the night with NMS Director Badi, whom I understand he should be on his way here. He's not here yet, and it's clear that he did everything and tried to involve the military in some way. In fact, some of his strongest, his fiercest critics even accused him of trying to militarize the country, putting the military in charge of Nairobi in that deal that was very controversial and funny at the same time, when Nairobi county was taken over by the NMS, and then there was that ensuing standoff, and then we saw, like we had said earlier on, the Kenya Meat Commission, the renovation of, was it renovation or the construction of...
the line. From whichever side of the political divide that you sit through, and whatever your ideologies are, you will be on either side of this conversation. You will be saying Uhuru Kenyatta militarized the military to an extent where he was putting their fingers inside the cookie jar, and they were saying that it's almost criminal to a nature, because once you entice them with civilian leadership, then, and God forbid, they may really want a sense of power. And Kenya has not seen the kind of level where the military has taken over public administration like we've seen in West Africa. We now have a country, Gabon, Benin, being taken over by Mali, for example, by colonels, very, very junior but really critical officers within the militaries of those places. Kenya faced a similar coup attempt in 1982, one of the few darkest hours that we saw in the Moi administration. So many were thinking by enticing them into civilian leadership, it would give them an opportunity to want more and more and more. But then again, there are those who are saying, hey, Kenya has been dogged by a lot of corruption, and the civilian administration has been full of corrupt activities, and by Uhuru Kenyatta using the military, who by any mean, shape and form, they're very open and transparent in how they do their duties, then that would be a good thing, because many are singing the praises of Uhuru Kenyatta in terms of how well he's used the military to his advantage in the big four agenda projects that he's been able to do. But this is a conversation that you can't win or lose, because depending on the side of the divide that you agree upon, then you will see it from the other side of the mirror. People are calling Uhuru Kenyatta a hero in one aspect. On the other, they are vilifying him and saying, hey, this gentleman overloved these people and forgot civilians, and didn't really look critically at how civilian aspects would be used in such some of these projects. He himself, even in the last meeting that he was here, when he was giving the 21st Brigade their colors, he was saying, hey, over the last 10 years, I've used these people, and it is because of their discipline in work. Allow me to do that. Allow me as a commander-in-chief to make decisions as a man, as a leader, and I stand by those decisions that I made. Yes.
I honestly think that maybe that has been amplified by the tremendous progress we have seen in different dockets that have been taken over by members of the disciplined forces. Maybe that's why they are called disciplined forces, because we've had little scandals that emerge with the dockets that have been put under the leadership of military officers. Like we saw Nairobi County doing quite a lot, the construction of all those hospitals. One will be tempted to ask, where has all this money been? Where has all these brains been? And that is the biggest challenge I think that the current government, county government, is facing ahead of them, to try and outdo that. It doesn't make us think that it was better to actually have the NMS taking care of all those services.
This is what we live for. So for a moment, let's just take and breathe in some of the sounds and sights of the joint military Kenya Defence Forces band as they come to take their place on these grounds this morning before this big event.
Kwa heshima sote tusimame kwa heshima ya bendera iliyo fahari ya kikosi cha 21. Asanteni, kwa heshima tunaweza kuketi tafadhali.
is Colonel Cyrus, who was the face of Operation Linda Nchi back in 2011, growing up the ranks of the military, now retired, now the spokesperson of the Kenya Defence Forces. It's now time for women to become leaders within the military aspects. And even looking at this team of men and women who are officers mounting this parade, there are some women here. And one secret I can tell you is that all of those firearms, none of them has a single bullet inside. Ask me why.
Why? I was going to ask even without you asking me. Why?
Because the devil is a liar. One can be angry at something and decide to use the firearm for obvious reasons. So in such an event, when the commander-in-chief is in such a facility, all those firearms, the rifles, are checked and counter-checked to find that even in the chamber there isn't one bullet left. Even as you remove the magazine, there's nothing left in the chamber because it can still cause some damage.
Because we've also even seen, even just then, we've also seen accidents happen in armory rooms in police stations, and I think that's also part of the reason. Maybe just to go back to this amazing lineup we see here, military precision, so they call it. Do they also check the height? Because looking at those pictures, it's amazing how you would see that all these people are of the same height. When you actually tell me that there are actually women on this lineup, it's even difficult to tell.
You can, in terms of how the physical makeup of how a woman looks like, but even in the Kenya Navy and the Kenya Air Force, the side. Look at the gentleman. First of all, even before we go to talk about how the military looks like, look at how fast he's going there with the sword and moving very, very fast and taking his place on the ground. That will be the gentleman who will ideally ask President Uhuru Kenyatta for an opportunity to inspect this guard of honor. So going back to what I was telling you about in terms of how you tell their females here, you can tell from even how their physical makeup is. You can know they're women. But even in the Kenya Air Force, the official cap that they will be adorning is different in terms of how it looks like from the ones the gentlemen wear. It's only in the Kenya Army that they all wear a similar looking kind of cap, that it may be difficult for someone who's not really keen to see that this is a female officer or this one is a male officer. But also they've been lined up in terms of how their height is. You can notice that the ones at the very end are the tallest, and in the middle we have the shorter ones in size.
Okay, trust me, I can't tell. I'll need to be very close to actually tell who is who in this lineup. But what I'm actually very excited about is the precision that I see here, and I think this is why military events are always very interesting things to witness. Many people may not even know what's going on, but looking at everything that is going on here, it's interesting, it's marvelous, and
Obuya, you make my day. Now you see these four officers who have their swords. They are all of the rank of lieutenant up to a brigadier, because they command the people who stand behind them. Anyone in line behind should be a senior sergeant or a warrant officer going down, and this because these are the boots on the ground.
Leila, we talked about the flags, and then we talked about the presidential guard. Has it been rolled down?
The presidential standard, and it's the biggest of them all. It's a very dark blue. Uhuru Kenyatta chose to honor his late father. His late father's was a light blue, and the fact that it has been rolled down, it means that officially the commander-in-chief is in the building. He begins from the Langata Barracks gate, which is almost about 1.5 kilometers away from here. And then once he gets here, he will be received here by members of the military as has been planned.
Jackson is directing the pictures we are giving you from this location at the Ulinzi Sports Complex. Jackson, we are talking about the fourth flag to actually the last flag, depending on where you're getting this from. That is the presidential standard. It has been rolled down, and it's an indication that the president is actually on site. The president is on site. It was rolled up, but now we have seen, I don't know even how we did notice it being brought down, by the way. It actually means that the president is on site, and I'm also aware that the former Nairobi Metropolitan Services Director
Mohammed Badi is here.
He is also in here. So any moment from now, Leila.
Well, the beauty about the military and how they work is, look at how the presidential standard is now being blown by the wind. It is actually the largest on that list of flags, the Kenya national flag being the second largest up there, and then the East African flag and the Kenya Defense Forces flag also in that manner. And on the other side, we have the service flags for the Kenya Army, the Kenya Navy, and the Kenya Air Force, and then now the one that now signifies where we are, Ulinzi Sports Complex. So basically any moment now he will be coming in, and Uhuru Kenyatta, now that I'm looking at these pictures of peace support operations in this month's Majeshi yetu, is expected to see a team of Kenyan military officers going into the DRC as part of the East African Standby Force. We are used to seeing Kenyans going into South Sudan under UNIMIS. We are used to them going into DRC under MONUSCO. We are used to them going into Somalia under AMISOM. But right now, a team of EAC officers from Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, I don't know about Rwanda, but the member states will be taking a unit, and the chairperson of the Joint Chiefs was Kenya's Robert Kibochi, who had a meeting here in Nairobi before President Uhuru Kenyatta as the chair of the East African Community, then made that critical announcement of this going. So he's been seen as a Pan-African leader. He's done so much in terms of how he has engaged Kenya in diplomacy and the security sector. So he will be remembered for a lot of things, both internally and externally, where he has engaged the Kenyan military in various aspects of core duty. We know that defense is at the highest level of their duty, but Uhuru Kenyatta has also engaged them in a different way. He recently inaugurated a university. We only have one in North Africa, and even South Africa, which is a bigger military than Kenya, does not have. Look at that specific flag for the Lang'ata Barracks, the Kenya Army. Now that is their regimental flag for the Lang'ata Barracks and their team. The leader, they are Maroon Commandos taking over as they're just preparing and making the children to become really excited about seeing their commander-in-chief. I do hope he does a lap of honor just for the sake of these kids and how they are so excited about what is going on this particular morning.
Asanteni sana Maroon Commandos. Maroon Commandos, asanteni. Ningeomba tu kidogo tuweze kufanya majaribio ya jinsi tutakavyomkaribisha mgeni wetu rasmi siku hii ya leo, ambaye si mwingine ni Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya na Amiri Jeshi Mkuu. Wanafunzi mpo? Shangwe na vigelegele. Tupeperushe bendera wanafunzi. Tumkaribishe Mheshimiwa Rais kwa makofi 1, 2, 3. Karibu Mheshimiwa Rais, utuongoze kwa sherehe. Tushirikiane sote kwa pamoja. Upande ule mwingine wanajeshi wenzangu, wapi shangwe na vigelegele? Tupeperushe bendera upande ule mwingine. Tumkaribishe kwa makofi. 1, 2, 3. Wanajeshi wenzangu, sioni mikono ikisonga upande ule mwingine. 1, 2, 3. Karibu. Mheshimiwa Rais, wapi shangwe na vigelegele? Wakati kama huo tutakuwa tumesimama. Aya, familia zetu ziko hapa, wanafunzi na wanajeshi wenzangu. Kwa heshima sote tusimame tafadhali, tufanye jaribio hili. Tusimame sote kwa pamoja. Asanteni. Tumkaribishe Mheshimiwa Rais kwa makofi. 1, 2, 3. Karibu. Shangwe na vigelegele. Wapi nderemo kwa Mheshimiwa Rais? Tupeperushe bendera. Asanteni. Asanteni. Kwa heshima tunaweza kuketi tafadhali. Asanteni. Asanteni. Kwa heshima tunaweza kuketi tafadhali.
Basi asante sana mwenzangu Jabiri Banzi kwa kuweza kufanya mazoezi hayo. Na atakapokuwa anajiunga nasi rasmi, mgeni wetu rasmi, Amiri Jeshi Mkuu wa majeshi yote ya ulinzi, hii ikiwa ni sherehe yake ya kuweza kumuaga kama Amiri Jeshi Mkuu wa majeshi yote ya ulinzi. Ukiweza kutazama upande ule wa pili, Kenya Defence Forces Grand Farewell to the Commander in Chief, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, CGH, Chief of the Golden Heart. Basi nazidi kuwakumbusha wenzangu tafadhali, wakati wa heko kwa Mheshimiwa Rais, upande huu wa pili pasipo jukwaa rasmi, tunaomba sote askari wale ambao wameweza kuvalia mavazi rasmi kuweza kujumuika na gwaride kwa 3 cheers, ama ukipenda heko kwa Mheshimiwa Rais. Na hali kadhalika wakati tu military documentary itakapokamilika, ambayo itakuwa inazungumzia mambo kadha wa kadha ambayo Mheshimiwa Rais ameweza kutekeleza chini ya uongozi wake kwa majeshi ya ulinzi ya Kenya, sote tutaweza kusimama na kuweza kumpa Mheshimiwa Rais makofi mazuri. Tutarudi studio tuweze kupata burudani kutoka kwao Maroon Commandos, bendi ya kikosi cha 7 cha jeshi letu la nchi kavu. Maroon.
Kenya nchi yangu.
Uhuru Kenyatta's government has seen several chief cabinet secretaries of defense. And I'm looking at the very first one, Rachel Mumamo is here, and then
na Kenya ni nchi yangu, naomba wananchi tushirikiane tuijenge nchi yetu, tushirikiane tuijenge miji yetu. Viongozi wote wa nchi yetu, naomba kuendeleza Kenya yetu kimaendeleo, tutashinda kiuchumi na kilimo tutanufaika. Naipenda Kenya ni nchi yangu, naomba wananchi shirikiane tuijenge nchi yetu, shirikiane tuijenge miji yetu. Viongozi wote wa nchi yetu, naomba kuendeleza Kenya yetu kimaendeleo, tutashinda kiuchumi na kilimo tutanufaika. Sana ulimwenguni kote Kenya imesifika sana.
Obuya, it's such an amazing day. Despite the fact that Maroon Commandos is doing their thing, the men and women at the forefront of where we are looking at are staying still and calm, as if they are going to a serious, significant war ideology.
Who would stand like that when the Maroon Commandos is performing? You know, the Maroon Commandos, they command a lot of this type of music, and I would be looking forward to them performing one of theirs, the one we were telling about, Uvivu, and the famous Charonyi. I mean, I think that is the music that really made up the Maroon Commandos, and I'm surprised that
I'm wondering
the men
what
in
would
uniform,
happen if any one of them were just to break into dance and just enjoy the music. And in Swahili we say akatike na jiwachilie.
No one will die. No one will die. These guys should not be this still. I mean, the Maroon Commandos is performing. This is the Maroon Commandos.
Would be taken to a court martial, my friend. But it's such a serious and such a non-serious gathering here, and we were talking earlier about the history around the Kenya Defence Forces and the Ministry of Defence. And we are looking at the CSs who Uhuru Kenyatta appointed in his tenure as President and Commander-in-Chief. Of course, the very first one, having served longest, is Rachel Mumamo, currently the CS for Foreign Affairs. In a few days or so, she will also be exiting office. Monica Juma, the current CS for Energy, being the second woman, again, to be in charge of the Kenya Defence Forces in the Ministry of Defence, being here also. Eugene Wamalwa is the current office holder. He served the shortest term, but he's also been a significant part and parcel of who the men and women in the Kenya Defence Forces are. And seeing them up there in the podium just means also they've come here to marvel at how the people they engaged with over time are now doing their last bits in terms of honoring their commander-in-chief. Uhuru Kenyatta is a man who you will not forget. And just as the Maroon Commandos are singing Christina na kutafuta uko wapi, those are some of the songs some of the men and women he commanded will be hearing and remembering him in terms of, where are you? We miss you. We loved you as a leader. We cherished your time as the commander, and we would love to see more of you. But then again, they have bigger hopes for William Ruto as now he takes over the reins of power, and they are hoping that he will engage them to a level where they will feel the love and respect that a commander-in-chief can give any such entity. And that's why instead of breaking into sweat and dance, they're just being subtle and standing quietly waiting for that significant moment that can happen anytime.
There is a lot, Leila. There is a lot to say about President Kenyatta. There may be a lot of other things to criticize, but when it comes to how President Kenyatta has led the Kenya Defense Forces, there would be very little doubt, if any. There would be very little doubt, if any, that there has been a paradigm shift in terms of how we perceive the military, how we view the men in uniform, how people interact with the men in uniform. To just even imagine that Colonel Esther Wanjiku, the editor-in-chief of this year's Majeshi Yetu, they have been able to put down 78 pages. No mean feat, 78 pages of President Uhuru Kenyatta's work as far as the military is concerned is no mean feat. They are talking about all those things that he's done. And even before we could maybe read through, there are those obvious ones. The Memorial Hospital.
It's not so far away from here. But one thing before you look into the book is, after Operation Lindanchi,
yes.
This was on October 14th, 2011, and the meant of the gun that looks the other side, and the boots and the hat, showing that this officer's duty is now done and dusted. And in every camp, they honor the men and women who have died in service to flag and country. And in that particular day, they had never seen such kind of engagement from Commander-in-Chief. And they're truly hoping that William Ruto, in his tenure as the 5th commander, will be able to take up the tradition, because for them, tradition is everything. And keeping that day alive and relevant and burning will also be something that they are hoping the new Commander-in-Chief will continue with, in terms of valuing their sweat of their brow and the blood that they shed, so that you and I can be able to really walk freely. As we speak, we have our men and women along the length and breadth of the common border that we have inside Kenya-Somalia border, and you're seeing just by how they are breaking into dance, just enjoying themselves in this moment, is how significant this day will be for them going forward. And it just goes to show that underneath the magwanda, as we say in Swahili, they're they're kawaida people like you and I.
Yeah.
And they have feelings and they have desires, and they have even a sense of humor, if I can say to that effect, in terms of how you're seeing them engaging on this particular moment. The sun has refused to come out. Why? I don't know. Maybe it's angry at us for some reason. However, this will not dampen the spirits of the Kenya Defense Forces and their families, and wherever they are in various barracks across this country, they will be watching to see how the day goes and how the emotions will be as he leaves office. I'm also looking forward to his body language and his face. How will he be? What will he say? What will be the words that he chooses for his last address to these people that he has commanded for the last 10 years or so? And then it will be critical also to listen to the tone in his voice as he bids this team farewell. You were talking about how he's been honored in this month's Majeshi Yetu.
basically, and that again goes to just give us a hint of his tone, what he's going to talk about. President Kenyatta is definitely going to be a very grateful man to the men and women in uniform we see here today because of their immense contribution to a lot of things, and that is also captured in the 78 pages we are seeing in this edition of Majeshi Yetu, where they are talking about a lot of things they have done in as much as health is concerned, which was part of Uhuru Kenyatta's Big Four agenda, and they have also outlined quite a number of projects that they have been able to undertake under CS, the time Monica Juma, and even going through to their Rachel Omamo and CS Eugene Wamalo, who I believe would be to some extent heading this particular function we are seeing here today. Part of a lot of work that has gone into the health sector include what you were telling me earlier on about the elevation of the Memorial Hospital to, is it level 5?
It's not going to be a level 5, and it's going to be a referral hospital. There will be no walk-ins anymore, because at the level of the barracks, there's a place where we call the MRS. That's where the families and the officers go there. You'll find a physician who will check you, and if you have any other issues, and then you're led to the Defense Forces Memorial Hospital. And there's a lot going on before we continue with talking about the health sector. There are so many also politicians who will be part and parcel of this event today, and they will be joining the leadership of the Kenya Defense Forces. Majority of them will be part and parcel of the parliamentary, what used to be in the 12th Parliament, the leaders of the foreign affairs and the security and diplomacy sectors. They may want to join in because they worked together with the Kenya Defense Forces, and they are the people who are questioning how much in terms of budgets the military was being given. How many bazookas are we getting? How many tanks are we buying? How much are we spending in building of barracks? Those are some of the things they were fighting about inside Parliament. But now it's a day to celebrate it. It's a day to be at ease. And going back to the health sector, they are building a level 6 hospital in Wayakiwe. That used to be the home of the special forces. They've since moved to Ngong to facilitate enough space for the hospital to be built. That will be a multi-security facility where the civilian security agencies will also have themselves and their families go to hospital there. And when I speak about civilian, I talk about the Kenya Wildlife Service, the National Police Service, the Administration Police, the Kenya Prisons, the Intelligence Service. And Uhuru Kenyatta has chosen both serving and retired military officers to be in charge of critical entities. Major General Kameru, in charge of the NIS, is a retired military officer who Mwai Kibaki in his time chose Major General Ali from the barracks and took him to the National Police Service. Uhuru Kenyatta, in his wisdom, chose Boynet from the National Intelligence Service, as well as the current office holder is also someone from the Intelligence Service, Hilary Mutyambai. So the military is here to stay. They are Kenyans like you and I. Whether or not to what level they will be engaged in public service, now it will be up to the new administration in totality on how they will deal with them to that level.
And even at the Kenya prisons, I believe.
The Commissioner General is actually a retired brigadier.
Yeah, that's Mr. Warioba.
Yes.
Yeah. He's actually, so Mr. Kenyatta has really, in his wisdom, elevated these people to different levels of leadership, like you put it. That was too much trust. He began with the intelligence, and then we saw him make a shift. Maybe it was protocol, or maybe it was just his to-do list. But he really began by showing a lot of interest in the intelligence, and then it moved on to the military, and then we've seen it continue. And I want to say that from just an observation point of view, I think President Kenyatta just put a lot of expectation and a lot of duty on to the KDF, apart from securing the country from external threats. I think he got them something else to do, because I don't think we really face a lot of external threats per se. So it was also good to see the president giving the KDF something else to do. I mean, there's a lot to be done, and with the discipline in the military, there was need to have them clean up what they called was a mess in a number of a lot of things in different.
I think the scenario would be what in my son's description would be, what a mess. He says it with so much bravado in his eyes, and he's only 3 years old, and he seems like he knows what he's talking about. But I get you. I understand the mess that you're talking about. But after 2013, 5 months after he took over the reins of power, Uhuru Kenyatta, who's now driving in, and let's just take a look at this particular moment as he drives into the Ulinzi Stadium here, the sports complex, and the Outriders are just coming in. He's just been received at the Langata Barracks, where he laid a wreath at the main entrance, where they were honoring the fallen heroes of the Kenya Defense Forces. And the drive is slow and marked. The civilian Outriders just taking their time to drive in slowly as they await for the Commander-in-Chief in his Commander-in-Chief's Land Cruiser. It's an open-top Land Cruiser, and it will be driven. There will be the Kenya Military Police Outriders who will be at the beginning of this entourage as he drives in. And this is a momentous situation, looking at how he has enjoyed their company and the sense of power. Probably many commanders-in-chief miss this aspect of enjoying power because you feel it in one way or the other. And they're just planning themselves. Looking at the presidential vehicle, it could be empty because at the moment, once he enters the barracks, the military ideally takes over and he changes vehicles into something different. And I've been blubbering a lot. I don't know what's going through your mind in terms of what we are seeing here in the front view.
The only thing I'm actually thinking about is this may be funny, but I'm looking at the reaction of these pupils over here, because they've been waiting for this moment. It is something I've been looking at, what entrance maybe the head of state is going to take, because they have shown a lot of excitement in expecting to see this particular moment. But maybe what should not escape our mind, Leila, is that even as we wait,
they're slowly driving in, and
I can't see
you
that
can
far.
see the presidential escort.
Yes.
I can see clearly. I can see President Uhuru Kenyatta just having a chat with the Chief of Defense Forces, General Robert Kibochi. Behind him is Brigadier Lekolol, the ADC as of now. Will he stay in office during the William Ruto tenure? Then that will also be something that the new Commander-in-Chief will decide. But it's such a marvel to look at in how the grandeur and the slowness in which they are driving here. Look at the Kenya Military Police Outriders are taking their positions and riding in slowly, ideally in this final lap, and final salute here to the Langata Barracks. And look at how the men and women who guard the president are walking slowly side by side. That's something that he will miss also after leaving office as the Commander-in-Chief. And
Now I see him
We had
jovial as
anticipated
always.
that he would be in his military regalia, but
the man
today
is actually in a suit.
he's decided to show up in a suit.
The man is actually. Those are
the excitement.
I told you those people should be very excited at this. I mean, it actually tells you that their moment has actually come. There goes President Kenyatta in the military Land Rover, driving into the Ulinzi Sports Complex. The fourth president of the country is going to get a grand farewell from the men and women whom he has been their commander the last 9 years or so. And this is the man of the moment. This is the man of the day. The precision with him. And he waves. He's greeting them. And
there's a beauty about Uhuru Kenyatta.
And now that we are together, let's make all my joys come over.
Tuongeze vigelegele kwa Mheshimiwa Rais. Moja, mbili, tatu. Moja. Makofi. Karibu. Karibu. Tupeperushe bendera. Moja. Mbili. Karibu. Mheshimiwa Rais. Kwa hafla hii ya kwaheri. Moja. Wapi shangwe na vigelegele. Askari tuongeze makofi. Askari wenzangu bandolo wa pili. Moja. Karibu Mheshimiwa Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Makofi. Makofi. Moja. Mbili. Tupeperushe bendera, mishangwe na vigelegele. Tumsalimie Mheshimiwa Rais hewani.
I will never let you down. I will never make you end of
Moja.
If you say that you love me madly, one day I accept you gladly.
Kwa mkono tumsalimie hewani. Wapi shangwe na vigelegele. Karibu Mheshimiwa Rais kwenye hafla hii.
Don't you know I'm in love with you? If you saw me
Mheshimiwa Rais hewani.
what else is there for me to do?
Karibu.
How long I've been waiting
Mheshimiwa Rais
to come right in. And now that we are together, let's make all my joys come over.
Wanafunzi tuongeze shangwe na vigelegele kwake Mheshimiwa. Makofi. Moja. Mbili. Tatu. Karibu Mheshimiwa Rais kwenye hafla ya kwaheri iliyoandaliwa na majeshi yetu ya ulinzi hapa uwanja wa Lang'ata. Karibu. Karibu. Wapi shangwe na vigelegele. Tupeperushe bendera hewani. Asanteni. Asanteni. Basi tubaki tukiwa tumesimama kwa ajili ya wimbo wa taifa na wimbo wa Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki. Na wote waliovalia kofia zisizo rasmi kwa heshima naomba tuzivue. Basi hivi sasa mkuu wa gwaride hii anakuja kumwomba kwa heshima Mheshimiwa Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya na Amiri Jeshi Mkuu ruhusa ya kuweza kulikagua gwaride lililoandaliwa na majeshi yetu ya ulinzi. Asanteni. Kwa heshima tunaweza kuketi tafadhali. Mheshimiwa Rais hivi sasa anasindikizwa na mkuu wa majeshi Jenerali Robert Kibochi.